Buying and selling a business is one of those moments where both sides can walk away better off. If you're a seller, it's your chance to cash in on something you've built and set yourself up for what's next, a new venture, a passive investment, or retirement. If you're a buyer, it's a chance to skip the toughest years of building from scratch and take the reins on something that's ripe for growth. But here's the thing, a smooth deal doesn't happen automatically. There's a right way to structure it, and missing key steps can lead to a lot of frustration, wasted time, and legal risk. Let's walk through the process of buying and selling a business step by step, from first touch through post-closing. First up, decide what's actually being sold. Every business sale is either an asset purchase or an entity purchase. In an asset deal, the buyer forms a new company and buys the business's assets, things like equipment, inventory, contracts, and branding. In a business deal, the buyer purchases the legal entity itself, specifically the shares or ownership interest, and with that comes everything the business owns, including its debts, goodwill, and financial history. Here are the pros and cons to each approach. Asset deals are usually cleaner, but they require more legwork after closing for the buyer. Entity deals are more turnkey, but buyers inherit the company's debts and legal baggage, which is sometimes hidden. Choosing the right structure up front sets the tone for the rest of the deal. When you've got that part figured out, you'll need to come up with a valuation and start negotiating. Buyers usually start with limited access to internal data, so early offers are often based on public benchmarks, revenue estimates, industry multiples, and visible assets. Sellers can speed things up and get stronger offers by offering real data, asset lists, income statements, and other financials. A quick tip for sellers, use a non-disclosure agreement to protect that information while still giving buyers enough insight to make a serious offer. From there, negotiations focus on the value of the brand, physical assets, existing contracts, and the structure of the sale. The goal isn't to get everything nailed down right now, just to get a working agreement that sets the table for the next phase. When buyer and seller agree in principle, it's time to put it in writing. A letter of intent, or LOI, isn't binding, but it lays out the main deal points, confirms intent, and gives the buyer some exclusivity. It gives the buyer an inside track over other interested parties, and for both sides, it moves the conversation to focus on the finer details and defining terms. This is the heart of the negotiation phase. With ironed out terms, it's time to draft the official purchase agreement. This is where we move from the conceptual to the concrete. By the time you have a final purchase agreement in hand, you're locked in. What's being sold, the price and payment structure, closing conditions, and post-closing responsibilities. At this point, buyers usually deposit earnest money and both sides are bound unless due diligence reveals something serious or a termination clause applies. That brings us to due diligence. For buyers, this is the deep dive, confirming what you've been told and uncovering what you haven't. For sellers, it's your chance to show that business is clean, documented, and worth what you're asking. Buyers should review key contracts, especially for core staff and long-term clients, franchise documents, if applicable, governance documents like operating agreements or bylaws, debt and investor documents, and licenses and permits. If you're a seller and you're missing any of these, or if they're outdated, don't wait, get up to speed now. Missing critical documents is the best way to scare off serious buyers or give them leverage to negotiate the price down. While due diligence is underway, the buyer should also be securing financing. Some buyers pay cash or self-fund, but many use SBA loans, commercial lenders, or seller financing where part of the price is paid over time. Whatever the setup, buyers should be ready to show funding commitments. Sellers, in turn, should review those documents to make sure the deal is adequately financed and the timelines are clear. After all of that, it's time to close. Closing typically involves confirming performance of contract terms, transferring shares or membership interest, depositing funds into escrow, and exchanging any final deliverables. Ideally, all of this is already drafted and agreed to in advance, so closing day is smooth and not a last-minute fire drill. After closing, it's time for buyers to oversee post-closing transfers. This is where the buyer takes over title to all assets in a way that's legal, documented, and clean. That includes updating ownership with the Secretary of State, transferring titles to physical assets like equipment, real estate, or vehicles, assigning non-physical assets like trademarks, copyrights, and patents, updating operating documents, reapplying for or transferring licenses, and ratifying the sale through formal resolutions. Skipping these final steps can lead to confusion, title issues, or even lawsuits, and it's one of the most common mistakes that buyers can make. A smooth transition isn't just about getting the deal done, it's about making sure the business moves forward without missing a beat. Buying or selling a business is a big deal, legally, financially, and emotionally. And like any big deal, it comes down to the right order of operations and attention to detail. If you're thinking about buying or selling a business and you want to make sure the process is smooth, well-structured, and protects what matters, let's talk. Schedule a consultation today and we'll craft the next stage of your career together.